All right, guys. So after many weeks of trying to get together and sending text messages back and forth, and busy schedules, and you know how life goes. But anyway, so we are here finally, and as promised, like a month ago now. I lied a little bit. Sorry about that. But anyway, so yeah, we have some news and some updates on Broughton and our favorite. Mystery historical figure.
Yep.
Thomas Lancaster.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, so you guys know how much we love Broughton and the history, and the Horace Mayhews of the world and the Horace Dixon Mayhews of the world, and of course Mr. Lancaster. So
we'll start it off. You all
let's
know
go.
how we love Broughton and getting out there and the history and everything like that. It's a really cool spot and everything. I'm not going to go into that. We've got lots of videos on it, so I'm not going to go back into it. But I will give you a little bit about the background of the person that we're talking about, Thomas Lancaster. So he's the guy that actually started Broughton. He was the guy that came here, visited the wilds in Nova Scotia with a couple of other guys from the area, and most notably a barrister named Edgar Mosley. And they went out to where Broughton now is, found that there was a coal seam there, and they thought they were going to strike it rich. So anyways, Lancaster goes back to England, manages to get $2 million in 1902
money. Wow. So
imagine
what that was.
I think it's like 57 million or something, or more.
Jeez.
Anyways, and we don't know a lot about this guy, so we don't know what his contacts or anything like that were. But it seems like he just went over and he was like, "Hey guys, I've got a coal seam over in Nova Scotia. You want to come?
Give me money.
Give me money." So anyways, he gets $2 million. They come over. They get all the state-of-the-art equipment. They start building the town, which was going to be the first planned community in North America. There was supposed to be like 12,000 or I can't remember the exact number, but it was an obscene amount of people. There was going to be schools and everything, and they built 2 hotels. One of them was supposed to be the finest hotel east of Montreal. So anyways, classic case, cart before the horse. They did all this stuff, and then they had no way to ship the coal out because of a leasehold agreement with the Dominion Coal Company that essentially blocked them on all aspects of delivering coal to Sydney, to Myra Gut, or any other place where they could possibly ship coal out to other parts of the world.
Wow.
So couldn't do it. So then they were trying to do a bunch of stuff. They were trying to do a railway from there to, I think, Lewisburg or something like that. Again, not going to go too deep into that part.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden everything starts to go belly up again because they're running out of money. So in 1906, that's where everything gets spotty. Summer of 1905, sorry. The original amount of money secured from the investors is expended approximately $2 million. He goes back, and Mayhew now takes charge and secures another $2 million in bonds from another company he's involved in called the Canadian Land Development. He approaches the city of Sydney again with Lancaster to ask for tax exemption, making promises that if they commit to the tax exemption, they'll help the city. One of the things was that they were going to buy the land down by Victoria Park and turn it into a shipbuilding place. Okay. Imagine how Sydney would have looked now if they had a shipbuilding place instead of a somewhat defunct military base.
Yeah.
So anyways, keeps going, he keeps dragging it and whatever, and then anyways, he resigns in March 1906. And in the minutes of the meeting, there's no reason why he resigns. So we're wondering, where's this guy who had this huge passion project, got $2 million, another $2 million, built all this stuff, was one of the on the board of directors, and then resigns, disappears without a trace.
Yeah.
So the biggest mystery for us has always been, where the hell did he go?
Yep.
And so I couldn't find him. I could not track him down. And for you, those of you who haven't seen it before, I do work at the library. I do historical research and genealogy and things like that. So it's something that I do. And I even got my supervisors involved, and because they're interested in the mystery now too.
That totally works in our favor.
So good.
Yeah.
But anyways, so one night I'm sitting there, I'm having a night where I'm just doing some historical research. And so I get this new program, this new thing, and I type in Thomas Lancaster, but then I put a Boolean operator. It's like, and Horace Mayhew, and I forgot, I put Horace Mayhew, and I forgot to put anything else, like Broughton or anything like that, and I just hit enter, frustrated. And lo and behold, the mistake that I had made actually brought up so much stuff.
Wow.
So I didn't find Thomas Lancaster, but who I did find was First Lieutenant Horace Mayhew Lancaster. So Horace Mayhew Lancaster was the name of Thomas Lancaster's son. He had named his son after his business partner. And the first thing that came up, I'm going to see if we can see this. If not, me and Jason are going to post some pictures to the site.
Yeah.
But what that says is Air Corps officer dies of gas fumes. Now, one of the things that we're always
Here we go again.
intrigued about and diving down conspiracy theories is Thomas Lancaster, we thought was, like, where'd all this money go and everything? And then he just up and disappears. And then all of a sudden, Dixon Mayhew Jr. dies under mysterious circumstances outside of Broughton.
Yep.
So we've got another one where I'll read a little bit from it. First Lieutenant Horace M. Lancaster, 36, attached to the Air Corps at Mitchell Field, was found dead early today on the kitchen floor of his parents' duplex apartment. And it gives the actual address, 324 West 108th Street in Manhattan. 2 gas jets of the kitchen stove were open when the officer's body was discovered by his father, Thomas Lancaster, at 8 a.m. At loss for any motive or for suicide, police described the death as accidental. No notes were left. Horace Mayhew Jr. also didn't leave a note, but died under weird circumstances.
Yeah, so many rumors.
So that was great because now not only do I have the son, I have the father, their address, what city they were in.
Yeah.
So then I could go from there. And I found out that somebody had already done a great job of the family history. So it was mother and father, 2 sons that I can find right now, and the Horace Mayhew Lancaster.
So there's another son.
There's another son.
Okay.
I'm on the hunt.
Huh.
I'm on the hunt.
Huh.
And it's funny because me and Jason and Doug have always joked that we can't find Lancaster because he's not actually dead. And the one inconsistency on the family tree is that there's no recorded date of death for Thomas Lancaster.
Who is a Highlander and is still alive.
He's somewhere.
Yeah.
There can be only one. That's why his son was
He'll show up when we least expect it. Yeah.
So we have like everything. We have so I have his date or his birth record, which was filed for at a later time. And that gave us another really interesting fact about Mr. Horace M. Lancaster and Thomas Lancaster, which is the fact that Horace M. Lancaster was born at the Broughton Arms Hotel. So, all that came back to me that was really cool was when we got that EVP at Broughton.
Yeah.
And it said, what was the question?
Was it, I'm a soldier?
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked the question like, what did you do here? What was your job here or something? And the voice that came back was, I was a soldier. Very confident, very confident. I'm a soldier.
We all know that Broughton afterwards, if you've been following this like us, We all know that Broughton was a military training base until it just went defunct. But
Before World War One. They were training.
They were training out of the hotel, using the hotel as barracks. Again, my dates are spotty. I don't have that.
I know 1916 sticks out in my head.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. So the Broughton Arms burns to the ground, and they have to go find another place for training and whatnot. But nobody died at Broughton, as far as we know.
Yeah.
But if we take into consideration, there's a lot of different reasons why spirits or ghosts or whatever, or energy or whatever you want to call it, would be attached to a certain area.
100%.
And what more of a life event
Yeah.
than the beginning of life?
Yeah.
So Horace M. Lancaster has all of this history tied into this place, this Broughton. And he was a soldier. He was a first lieutenant in the Air Corps at Mitchell Field in the States.
Wow.
So, like, it's absolutely amazing how we come across these things, and it's almost like things start fitting together.
Yeah.
So this is just now a definite jumping off point that we're going to take and we're going to run with now, because I am super pumped.
Yeah. When he sent me the message and all he wrote in like all caps was like, I found Lancaster. And I was like, oh my God, because this is pretty much
this has been years since we've been looking.
I found Eleanor Anderson's first book in 2003, and ever since finding that book, I've been absolutely obsessed with the place.
Yeah,
and yeah, like I say, in Lancaster, who poured his heart and soul into the place, and then all of a sudden, he's gone.
Yep.
So, and now,
and here's even I'm going to just show it up close. This is the Department of Health, Borough of Manhattan, Certificate of Death for Horace M. Lancaster.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool to have there too.
That's wicked.
Yeah, we've got everything. We've got everything, including his home address, which is really weird.
I'm Google Earthing it as soon as this is done.
I'm sure that if anybody's watching, they're going to do that too. So.
Yeah.
But lots of really cool stuff. Really makes us want to reopen, and reinvestigate Broughton and the surrounding areas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Summer. So we've got mosquitoes.
Yeah. And the mosquitoes out there are so big that I seen one carrying a shovel last time I was there.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're huge.
Yeah. Same with our investigations of Ferndale. Always seem to be kiboshed by bugs.
Mosquitoes. Yeah.
I've never experienced more bugs than in Ferndale that time.
I think that's where they live.
That's where they hang out.
The capital of mosquito.
Yeah. We had 4 different types of bug spray, and we were applying them all very liberally.
Yeah,
constantly.
I contemplated burning down the woods just to be done with it.
Yeah, they probably would have just moved slightly to the left and then came back.
Yeah. So for any of you that don't know where that is, if you do know where the old Cove Guest Home was off Kings Road, right on that turn before you're heading towards like Tim Hortons into Sydney River that way, there's a little driveway there, and that's where the Cove was, and in the woods right there, that's where Ferndale was.
Yeah. And what's really cool too, and this is just an aside, not ghost hunting and stuff like that, whenever you go to Petersfield or any of the other estates in Sydney or whatever, there's always a lot of non-native plants there.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because there's a friend of mine who is into horticulture big time, that was his profession, and whenever we go hiking different places, he always points out non-native plants to the area. So he and his wife investigated Ferndale a little while ago, more from a plant point of view.
Yeah.
But he said that the amount of plants there that were not from Sydney and just weirdly placed next to plants that were from Sydney is amazing.
Walk through in the summertime when it's all grown in.
Yeah.
It's like
and it's a lot of the same ground cover that you would see over at Petersfield.
Yeah.
And even when we went to the mill in River Denny's.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a lot of different plants and stuff like there was a whole garden in the middle of the woods with flowers and stuff like that blooming in it.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. But it's interesting because people leave their mark on these spots, and it's who's to say that they just haven't left everything there?
Well, that's, I mean, when you get into things like that, and like with Peter's Field and with, David Matthews
Mhm.
and that whole,
Yep.
his link to, trying to, hey, I want to kill George Washington, allegedly.
The
You know?
hickey gloss.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, house arrest, and he escapes, and
Yep.
all of a sudden he's in Nova Scotia, and then all of a sudden he's in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
It's, I can't.
There's
So cool.
so much history,
Yeah.
and there's so much that has gone on before that. And I think we've mentioned this too. It's not even just like from a colonial standpoint, but like, people will ask us to investigate, where the old reserve was on King's Road, and like things like that.
Yeah.
And, we've been approached by people and stuff like that, but out of respect for it's not our heritage and stuff like that, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that even if you've got no story to go with a place, there's about 2,000 years worth of history that wasn't written down about the area.
You'll find something.
Yeah, you'll find something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So Broughton's just one of the things, and I can't wait to get back out there. But like I say, you go from the spring to the summer where it's all bugs, and then you go to the fall where you could possibly get shot during hunting season.
That's true.
So you have to be careful. And there's, I remember, I think it was Doug telling me, there's a bear that has been roaming around there the past couple of years. So there's also that too. Yeah. I'd rather not get attacked by a bear.
That's another thing that we would like to bring up is the fact that, we talk a lot about these locations. We don't give out the locations all the time.
Nope.
Because we're concerned for people.
Oh, yeah.
Because Broughton is, it's an ATV trail, but very easy to get lost.
Oh, yeah.
It is in a hunting location.
Yep.
And,
falling hazards everywhere.
Falling hazards everywhere. Mosquitoes with shovels.
Yes. that one guy, he was busy.
Yep.
And then you have the hole where the coal mines were.
Yep.
So, I mean, who knows what
exactly. But,
so definitely don't go by yourself.
Yes. Bring a team.
Yeah. Self-service is not great, so definitely have people with you. Yeah. But...
yeah, it's all like there's lots of different things. If anybody wants to throw ideas out to us or places they think that we should investigate, this is just, I can do my research and we'll definitely show up with our stuff. So
we're just fortunate that John's employees. Thank you.
Employers,
Thank you. Employers.
Thanks, boss.
Employers, don't mind that he does this on, work time.
Well, it is technically reference work.
And you're researching.
Yeah, it is what I get paid for.
Sure enough. And
technically, I'm not looking for ghosts. I'm looking for the history.
Yes, but sometimes you come across murder and such things.
Well, yeah, that was one of my favorite things, just going through the city records and it's like, do yellow piece of paper falls out, and I'm like, oh, what's that? Pick it up. Mayor, murder, 1959. I was like, what?
Excellent.
And anyways, I went down a rabbit hole for that, and we found out to the square meter that where the guy actually died.
And is buried in St. George's Cemetery, North End. Is that where he's buried?
No, that would have been. I don't remember. Sorry.
Right.
Again.
Yeah.
I have a book. And I need it with me to figure out these dates.
No, because we investigated there a few times, and I remember John telling us something. Maybe Doug will remember.
Yeah,
my memory's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a few prominent members of society back then that are buried in that grave.
59?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you know, we are amateurs.
No,
amateur
for sure.
historians. Yeah. But amateur comes from the French word amateur, which means to love. So we love what we do.
But that's, see, and if you don't, like I say, but again, terrible memory. But, and I could be thinking of a mayor from 1874.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
So that's why we research, and that's because we're not just gonna,
go in willy-nilly and
and
that's the other thing too. Like, if you ever hear something and you dispute a fact, I'm more than happy to hear the other side of things.
So, 100%.
Because history sometimes, like, for example, we'll go back to Horace Mayhew. When he died in 1906, September, I believe it was, there were about 5 different versions of his death.
Yeah.
There was one written about in the Montreal Star
Yep.
where I think it was a hunting accident.
Hunting accident.
Then there was another one where it was the cable back to his hometown to tell his parents that he had died.
Yes.
And that was after, the quote was, after a protracted illness.
Mhm.
No mention of anything there.
Yeah.
And then there was hung himself in the Broughton Arms. I think that's more just hearsay and people rumors. And then the suicide, which was made the paper, front page, 1906, the next day. Committed suicide with a straight razor. There was an inquiry held, and they ruled it a suicide the same day. But we did another video on that.
Oh, yeah. So, if you want to go to YouTube, there is a video of us diving a little bit.
There's a lot of weird stuff about that death.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah.
That's all good. And just, like I said, if you've got any questions or concerns or any other ideas for us, happy to hear them.
And we're not always right. So if we post something and you're like, no, I don't think that's what happened, we're more than willing to listen because, like I said, we're not experts.
Yep.
We love history. We love the paranormal.
And my book's at work.
And John left his book. But anyway, but that was why we wanted to jump on the Broughton update. Mm-hmm. The Thomas fantastic book.
Yep.
Fantastic. I can't tell you. I can't tell you how
I was so excited when I found that. I was like immediate.
Yeah. And I was way too excited about that. And whatever I was doing, I think I mentioned to my wife and she had no idea what I was talking about. But anyway, I was very excited. So that was why we wanted to do this. And we thank you guys for watching, subscribing. We've had a lot of people joining the last couple of days. I think that was due to Doug's post about that house in the historic North End. Would that have the jail in the basement?
Yes.
We know. We can talk about that at another time. Thanks again. This has been awesome. And we'll come back.
Stay tuned. We'll be doing some more over the summer.
Oh, yeah. We got something big coming up in the next week or so, too. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
Cheers.
Have a good one.